on Comedy Schools Radio Network.com, YouTube Comedy Schools, and Facebook Live. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, moms and dads, children of all persuasions. Thank you very much for tuning in. Do you still say that? Because it's not really a tuning. Joining, gathering, reaching out and touching via social media. Thank you very much for being here when you get here. When you get here, I won't thank you for joining again because I've already thanked you, and you won't know that unless you do a playback. You are watching Living on a Thin Line with Tony Vicich. This is your daily reprieve from all the anger, anxiety, weirdness, and hoopla going on in the world today. We come to you every day at 2 p.m. Arizona time, which is currently Pacific time. Soon to be back on Mountain Standard Time when Daylight Savings Time ends. Arizona does not do Daylight Savings Time because we are special. Anyway, whatever time it is you are, I hope you're having a good time. I hope you're staying safe. I hope you're staying sane. I hope that you're finding a way to get through over 6 months, right around 6 months of quarantine, lockdown, curfew, COVID. This whole pandemic's got a lot of C sounds in it. A lot of C sounds. That means that this pandemic is a real. You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, here we are. I want to thank you for watching. This show is brought you over 3 social media platforms. I've already mentioned those. I'm not going to repeat that. And it's built around 3 things. Your questions and comments here on Facebook Live. We welcome them, are on YouTube or on Comedy Schools Radio. We try to comment back or answer any questions. It's also built around some knick-knack or a little piece of falderall that I have laying around here in the home office that I share with you and try to weave a personal story around. And we recommend 2 artists or 2 pieces of music based on our vast, deep well of vinyl albums. They're not really in a well. Matter of fact, if I took all the vinyl albums, I put them in a well, then they'd all be warped. They'd be useless to me and useless to you. But we have over 500 or 600 albums here, and we're going to talk about each and every one of them before this is all over, and then start working through our CD collection. We've already shared some of our CD collection. We're just trying to do, what are we trying to do with the music? We don't have a music license, so we're not playing it, so we're talking about it. What we hope is that anything we mention that you might YouTube it or dig through your old music collection and listen to it. If it's old music you used to listen to, maybe you'll listen to it, it'll be new again. Some stuff you forgot how much you liked it. Maybe it's old music you weren't into at the time. Like when Smokey Robinson and the Miracles were big, I was not into them. I didn't hate them. I liked them, but it wasn't what I was into. I was into rock, and later on came to appreciate actually the Four Tops before Smokey Robinson and the Miracles, etc., and Diana Ross. But maybe it's that, or maybe you are younger and you've never heard of these groups or this type of music, and you might want to check it out. I realize some of the music I talk about would be like it was 1965, and I was telling you about music from 1905 or 1915. And if you were an arrogant little snot like I was at that time, you weren't going to listen to it until there was music from the turn of the century that my generation fell in love with in the early 70s. And that was ragtime. And that was due to a movie called The Sting with Robert Redford and Paul Newman. And the entire soundtrack was from music that had been composed by the great ragtime piano player Scott Joplin. So I realized that some of the music we talk about is like 40 or 50 years old. And if I was in my teens or 20s, I go, what is that? But give it a try. Give it a whirl. Put it on the Wurlitzer and see what transpires. Had a great night last night. Did I have a great night last night? So safe, socially distant, but I got to see some old friends that I see regularly online, but don't get to see nearly enough anymore. People that I hang out with and spend time with in Arizona at this point in my life. Kevin Brown and DJ Payne and Jim Perry, and made some new friends over at JP's Comedy Club, 860 East Warner Road in Gilbert, Arizona, Greater Phoenix, Arizona. Where we did our first free intro for our first live in-person stand-up comedy workshop since March. Now, Jim made sure that everybody was sitting safe and socially distant, and for the most part, had to wear masks. When I was on stage speaking, I was not wearing a mask, I'll tell you that, but I was, 10, 12 feet away from everyone. And we think that we did it right. Plenty of hand sanitizer, plenty of masks, plenty of safety. And we had a great time with our first free introductory workshop since March of 2020. Since the beginning, since right at the middle of March 2020, almost 6 months. And got some great people that we got to meet, some new people. And we're going to continue on with that live in-person workshop starting next Monday. We'll also continue with all of our Zoom stuff. As a matter of fact, tonight at 6 p.m., I got a free intro on Zoom if you want to check it out. So people ask me, they go, what are you doing, Tone? So here's the deal, all right? So how do I put this? If I lived in a state like New York or California, where they had strict lockdown protocols, my life would be a little simpler because I go, these are the rules, nothing can open. But I don't. I live in Arizona, where they are bouncing around like a pinball in a pinball machine, lockdown, no lockdown, quarantine, curfew, 50%. If you got a liquor license and don't sell food, you can't open. If you have food and a liquor license, you can open. But you can only have 50% capacity. And what it's doing is forcing business owners like me and business owners that own brick and mortar businesses to have to make some sort of compromises. Go, okay, we're going to have to do something, or we're dead. If we're not physically dead, then we might as well be dead, because we're going to lose our entire business, our entire livelihoods. Everything will go south. Yeah, I've been able to build some stuff online, but as more things partially open, that's going to change. So I had to make some choices. And choice I made was to do safe social distance workshops, starting out with just one for right now. See how it goes. Excuse me. I'm talking about it on a cough. Oh, my God. And see how it goes for 5 weeks. And I'm going to keep you abreast of it. I went to Spread Comedy, not COVID, and we're doing that in that way at JP. So we're going to continue with all of our online stuff. Can continue with this show and slowly begin to metamorph. Would it be metamorph? Into some partial live stuff. Kevin Brown says, we got a message here from Kevin Brown, very funny guy known as Kev the All-Star. Honestly, Tony, you were great last night, man. Thank you, Kevin. You were in your element. I'm used to seeing you from ground level, but teaching the class from the stage was nice, and it added to the purpose of the class. He wrote a little more here. Purpose of the class. Thank you very much. Yeah, it was fun to be on a stand-up comedy stage. JP's Comedy Club is going to do shows at its club at less than 50% capacity. It's a new business, and Jim built it in such a way that he'll be able to function that way and be ready for the eventual reopening. Eventually, we're going to reopen. Eventually, the way that science is working right now to get a vaccine, forget the politicians, okay? But science. You know why? Because scientists are people too. And they know that if this pandemic continues to spread, it's going to affect them personally as well. And they'll make a profit. And I've got no problem with that. People go, big pharma's making a profit. Well, that's how things work in this world. Now, you shouldn't be usurious about it. You shouldn't have a pill that costs you 5 cents to make and you sell for $500. That's being usurious. But they have a right to a profit, and they have a right to recoup on their investment. And we know that there's going to be some vaccines rolled out by the end of the year. But I don't think this is going to I don't think we'll be back totally to normal. I don't think I'll be going to Dead and Company shows or Clippers basketball games or seeing Dwight Yoakam or any of those things till sometime in the middle of next year. And I don't think the nightclubs will be as full as well. Nancy Yeaman, Tires Etheridge is watching. Hey, Tires, we missed you last night. Looking forward to seeing you Monday. It's coming Monday. Nancy Yeaman says, can't wait to see you September 19th. I better win that bobblehead, custom bobblehead, right? You know, you had to just bring that right in right now. Yes, it's on my list. I'm going to have custom head bobbleheads of me done. We're going to hand out raffle tickets. on the 19th at JP's Comedy Club. And everyone will get a raffle ticket. And then we'll pull one from the hat. And the winner will get, there will only be two of these bobbleheads. One that I will keep for my own damn self and one that I will give away. All right. And Nancy, you might win, but you know me, you know, I'm fair and square. I'm an honest guy. I'm not rigging nothing. But you will get your raffle ticket. And if your number gets pulled from the hat, you will go home with the bobblehead. Okay. So we're looking forward to everything. Like I said, we're still going to stay safe for the most part. We are staying quarantined. You know, we're not out running around all the time right now. When bobbleheads are on your mind, you got to say so. Yeah, you know what? You cannot deny the bobblehead thought. It's got to come out. It's got to come out. Okay. Speaking of which, why was it a great night for me last night? Because I got to teach an in-person live stand-up comedy workshop. I could do one on Zoom tonight. I resume my Wednesday night. Right now, my advanced class is only on Zoom, although we will do a live in-person show. Because that class is kind of divided between people go, I don't want to do an in-person class. People go, I do want to do an in-person class. So this particular session, the advanced class is still on Zoom. And if everything goes right in October, we'll begin to transition over, not morph. I don't know why, not morph. I don't know why I use that word. Transition is the word, into live in person for the advanced class as well. Plenty of free parking right next to a Chinese restaurant and an Italian place. And there's a Goodwill right there. And I went into it last night and it's pretty good Goodwill, but they had no bobbleheads. JP's Comedy Club. It was a good night for me because of that. And also because my LA Clippers won Game 3 in the semifinal round of the NBA Finals. They won Game 3. They're now up 2-1 over the Denver Nuggets. Interesting watching the Denver Nuggets. The first time I ever saw the Los Angeles Clippers play, it was against the Denver Nuggets. And it was my daughter, Alicia, was only 10 at the time, myself, Rich Scheidner, one of the great comics of the classic era and is still extremely funny guy today, and his two daughters, Van and Sierra. And we went to see them, and I remember the little girls. We only paid like $25 for great seats because the Clippers were god-awful. But go get afford to take the kids to a basketball game. Let's do that. And I remember the little girls looking at me and going, all right, hey, what's the name of the other team? What's the other name of the other team? I go, the Nuggets. It's the Denver Nuggets. And they started their own little chant going, Nuggets, we're going to eat you up. Nuggets, we're going to chew you up. And the first time I ever saw the LA Clippers, they were playing the Denver Nuggets at Staples Center. Okay, when Staples Center was sitting by itself, just surrounded by absolutely nothing. You go down there now, it's built up like New York City. It had its charms then, it has its charms now. So they won last night. One of the pivotal plays was when Kawhi Leonard blocked the shot with his middle finger, went all the way up, and the shot would have went in, but he was able to tip it away with his extremely long middle finger. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here. And by the way, in honor of the LA Clippers, we do have a bobblehead. We've showed this to Darius Miles. This is from 2001. Darius Miles, okay? Darius Miles right there, who no longer plays. Of course, it was 20 years ago. But we got a Darius Miles bobblehead. He played for the Clippers in the bad old days. He was a strange dude, talented guy with a lot of problems. But there it is. Clippers bobblehead. Clippers won. Great night last night. Live stand-up comedy workshop. LA Clippers winning against the Denver Nuggets. We had ourselves some fun. To you fathers out there, if you got young daughters, find something that you both can do, that you can both enjoy. That'll be a fond memory that you'll be able to do with them when you are an adult. Because up until even in this year, I think this year in 2020, Alicia and I caught maybe not in 2020, maybe in 2019. But we all the way up till then, we've been catching Clipper games together, even though she's a fantastic, wonderful grown-up lady. Find something like that, that you can do, because it'll carry out when you no longer have a lot in common because she has a life and your life has changed. So anyway, LA Clippers, stand-up comedy, bobbleheads, everything's going good. I guess I should mention September 17th, 18th, and 19th. I will be at JP's Comedy Club headlining the inaugural opening show. There is one open mic night there this week, this Thursday night, only one. For my Los Angeles friends, I'd say I would like to see you when I'm in Los Angeles this weekend. But I won't be able to, but I'll be nearer to you than normal. I'm going to Los Angeles for a couple of reasons. And I'll be staying in a hotel, not with family or friends, keeping safe social distancing. But for those in LA, I'll be down the road instead of 400 or 500 miles away. Maybe we can see each other, pass each other in a car or something. All right. We've mentioned all of that. Haven't watched the news a lot today, so I don't know what's going on, but I could pretty much guess that Donald Trump's saying a lot of crazy things and Joe Biden is speaking in reasoned, measured, rational tones. And I think I just described everything that's going on in the news right now. They were talking about Florida, which is a toss-up right now. 48% for Biden, 48% for Trump. Florida, extremely affected by COVID. Florida, extremely affected by climate change. Why they would vote for anyone who's not taking either one of those seriously and treating them like the 5-alarm fire that they are is stunning to me. But you know the problem with this COVID thing? Okay, so 190,000 people who were with us in March are not with us now. 190,000 people that were with us in March are not with us now. But there's 340 million people in America. So a lot of people, it's not affecting them directly. It's not affecting them directly. It hasn't affected any of their friends or family. So the only thing is they see news reports and then they question the news. So we're in still for a bumpy ride, ladies and gentlemen, a bumpy ride, but I hope to make it a little more fun, a little more pleasant as days go by with this show and all the other things that I am doing for you. I want to get to the music now, since nobody has any questions and anything right now. I want to get to the music. I'm going to mention, and you're going to find it hard to, you're going to find it hard to believe that I'm going to mention these two, one a band and one a singer in the same breath. So the first thing we're going to mention is Live Dead. And that's one of the great album covers of the 60s, 70s, early 70s. Live Dead. It folds out. It's really neat. Well, I don't want to tear it up. All right, but you can see the back is an extension of that's right. I sneezed. All right. It happens. But I used a sneeze guard called a record album. That's what we should all do is just get vinyl albums and walk around carrying them in front of us. We sneeze, do that. That'll block things. Live Dead, one of the great albums. This album was originally entitled, the Grateful Dead went to the record company, Warner Records, and said, we want to call this album Skull Fuck. And they said, you can't do that. Well, because this isn't Live Dead. I'm sorry. I told you the wrong thing. It's just titled Grateful Dead. The original title was Skull Fuck. Live Dead is a totally different album. But this is one of the great albums. It has some of the great Grateful Dead songs on it. If you like story songs, songs that tell a story, songs that tell you about the forgotten people on the edges, people in the margins, then you'd love the Grateful Dead. It's got Wharf Rat, which is one of the all-time great songs, story songs. Then Not Fade Away. They did an incredible version of Buddy Holly's Not Fade Away. That's how I found out about Buddy Holly. Then, of course, Going Down the Road Feeling Bad, which is a great traditional tune. Then, which is part of the Grateful Dead canon now. Me and My Uncle, which they sometimes play in concert. Big Boss Man, which they seldom play. And then their version of Me and Bobby McGee by Chris Christopherson and Johnny B. Good by Chuck Berry. We're going to circle back to Me and Bobby McGee in a moment. Second album, one side is The Other One, which is all that trippy, hippy, dippy, jazz, psychedelic rock they do, along with Bertha, which became part of the Grateful Dead canon. Mama Tried by Merle Haggard. Big Railroad Blues by someone named Noah Lewis, and I don't know who that is, but it's a good tune. And Playing in the Band by Bob Weir. Most of these songs are still played by Dead and Company today. Big Railroad Blues is kind of cool because when my wife and I got married, we honeymooned in Sedona, which people travel from all over the world to go to Sedona. We just had to drive up the road. And they have a railroad car tour up there where you can take an old-time railroad. And they played Big Railroad Blues on it. It's a great tune. So I got turned on to things like Merle Haggard through the Grateful Dead. and even Buddy Holly through the Grateful Dead. Buddy Holly was not, his legend was kind of waning in the late 60s, early 70s, not mentioned in the reverential tones that he is now by so many people who love rock music. The other guy we're going to talk about, and you go, how does this make any sense? Eddie Arnold. What? Eddie Arnold. Now, if you look at that picture, that is about as far from Grateful Dead land as you can get. Eddie Arnold. Now, Eddie Arnold on this song, on this album, we got a great hit of his, What's He Doing in My World? It's a great love song. I don't know why they call them love songs. This is about some other dude sleeping with his girlfriend or wife. Bouquet of Roses, Anytime I Hold You in My Heart, Just a Little Love, and Cattle Call. And my favorite, this was on every jukebox and every beer joint in Jefferson County that I crawled through as a young drunk, Make the World Go Away. Make the world go away. You Don't Know Me, another great tune. That's How Much I Love You, and I Really Don't Want to Know. The two biggies off of this, What's He Doing in My World, and Make the World Go Away. Okay? So this guy was absolutely stunning, absolutely wonderful. I heard the Dead play Make the World Go Away once. So I got returned on to Eddie Arnold through the Grateful Dead. Eddie Arnold was a guy who helped really discover a lot of wonderful people too. So if you're looking for some good music to listen to, and if you really want to, like, make your brain go, put on the Grateful Dead, find the song Wharf Rat on YouTube, listen to the words, because it's a stunning story of a guy just running into a homeless man down on the docks. When we see the homeless, and we see them, and they're walking down the road, or they're camped on the side of the street, or they're wandering around, you realize that even though they're homeless people and they may look to you hideous and horrible and seem strange and disgusting, at one time they were just a little kid. There's a great movie called Ironweed, based on a book called Ironweed. Great movie starring Meryl Streep, Jack Nicholson, and Tom Waits, playing homeless alcoholics in Buffalo, New York during the Great Depression. And it's the dead of winter, and Meryl Streep and Nicholson and Waits are walking along playing these homeless characters. And there's another character who's died frozen, stuck on the ground. And it's a Native American woman who was an alcoholic homeless person that they knew. And Jack Nicholson goes, who was she? What was she? And Tom Waits goes, I don't know. She was just a drunk. She was just a bum. And Nicholson goes, but before that, she had to be something before that. Before whatever happened to her. What was she? And Tom Waits goes, I don't know. Just a little kid, I guess. So when you see a homeless person, there's not a lot you can, you give them $1, you give them a dime, you give them a quarter, okay? You try not to engage, okay? Just remember, at one time they were a little kid. They had a mama and they had a daddy, okay? Maybe they didn't have a daddy for a long time. Maybe they had a mama for They had a mama and a daddy. They came to this world just like you and me. And somewhere along on their journey, they went down a bad road. Maybe they didn't even know. Maybe the signposts were confused. Maybe there were no signposts at all. Maybe they were led to believe that was the proper road to go down. And maybe they got so far down that road they found no way to come back. But we don't think of them as human beings with a story. We don't think of that. I was jogging in Reseda, California, around something called Lake Balboa, which is a large reservoir in the San Fernando Valley. A big part of San Fernando Valley is just floodplain, just a place to catch water during a flood. And then we build houses around it and wonder why the houses get filled up with water when it rains too much. But it was a 5-mile jog, and there's a park. And I was coming around the corner one day. This is 15 years ago. And I saw a guy who had all those trappings of homelessness. He's walking around talking to himself, going, and then Sullivan, and then Steve, and then Ray. And I'm going to tell you right now. And he's talking to himself. And he was wearing a pink polo shirt with an alligator on it, khaki shorts, good tennis shoes and socks. He had a haircut, but now his hair was all disheveled. He had about a 3-day growth. And he had dirt on his face, and his now nice clothes were starting to be a little dirty. And I remember thinking, wow, this just happened to him. Whatever happened just happened to him just a few days ago. A few days ago, he was just another guy in traffic, probably with a house or an apartment and a job somewhere. Because the way he was dressed, he was dressed nice, like someone who knows how to dress. He had a good haircut. And then he snapped. And now he's wandering around in the park by himself. And I thought it just happened. Who was he before that? So, you want to hear a great story of a man's story who is like the man I just described to you that I ran into in Lake Balboa. Now, you want a great story, like the story I described to you from the movie Ironweed. Listen to Wharf Rat by the Grateful Dead. It's the story of a man talking to a homeless man down by the docks. It is that story. The question always is our storyteller homeless as well? We don't know. But right now, you're not homeless because you got a home every day at 2 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, Arizona time, right here on Facebook Live, YouTube, Comedy Schools, and ComedySchoolsRadioNetwork.com. You got it right here every day. I'm here for you every day, sometimes on Saturdays at 7. We'll get into that later. I'm here for you 6 days a week, okay? Definitely 6 days, sometimes 7. I'm here for you, okay? And I'm around. I'm in the wind. Wherever you go, that's where I'll be. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed doing it. You've been watching Living on a Thin Line with Tony Vicich. I got to go make some bobbleheads. Bye-bye.